You looking at me? Where do we even start this morning? 26 degrees. How about by just going out the door for weather and more? And just hope that all the weather knowledge I've tried to cram in my head in the last couple of hours makes its way to my pretty full disk drive in the brain to my mouth. May I find the words. I will fix that flagpole at some point. There is the sun rising in the northwest. Actually, those are the buildings in Brighton and Boston acting as mirrors on this beautiful winter morning. Second day in a row with snow on the ground. And, ooh, did you see that? Let's get that flyby. The snow on the ground at night, especially where it's clear, with high pressure and dry air, is called radiational cooling. So some areas this morning, well away from the ocean, are pretty close to 20 degrees colder than yesterday morning. Jot Ross is a wizard with statistics and graphics. Thank you, Jot. He says it's actually a little bit warmer in Boston. Well, I'll tell that to my fingers. They're freezing right now. All right, let's check this thermometer, which yesterday I couldn't even see because it was crusted in ice and snow. The poor little Rose. All right, see, now that is different. So down here, it's 24 or 5. Up there, it's a little bit less cold. And I did give my worms a new blanket of leaves. We'll see you next spring, worms, underneath there. This snow, it may disappear today where the sun gets it. I think tomorrow morning there'll be less snow on my neighbor's yard, but the sun doesn't really make it back here too much this time of year. Very cold air mass. Not only is it radiational cooling, even the top of Mount Washington this morning is in the single digits with winds from the northwest 60 to 70 miles per hour. You can have that. But it's always worse somewhere else, isn't it? Yeah, this morning in, oh my, Okan, Siberia, 61 degrees below zero centigrade, which is 78 degrees below zero Fahrenheit. Guess where that air is headed? Into Alaska. And we've got some great tweeters from Alaska. Brian, Brett Schneider, who calls himself a climatologist, says, rest in peace, Northway, Alaska, 61 below zero in the forecast, but at least that's Fahrenheit, not Celsius. So you get the picture. Cold is expanding, and it's come all the way down into the western United States, where this morning, blizzard warnings in effect, remain in effect for 5 or 6 very large states. That's a serious situation, but maybe even more frightening is what's going on in Oklahoma and Texas. A major squall line. There it is on the lightning, and there are pre-dawn tornado warnings in effect in Texas. What are you doing? Let him be, let him be. Sorry. Texas and Oklahoma this morning. There's the cold moon. Cold moon really is cold this morning. That's a huge weather system, and it's coming in our direction, right? It's going to get here Thursday night and stick around into Friday and Saturday. It doesn't look quite as bad as it did a couple days ago as far as the wind and precipitation goes. But first, let's go back to yesterday's weather. That clipper that went south of Cape Cod is close to hurricane strength this morning. It's well south of Nova Scotia, and it continues to intensify with winds of 60 to 70 miles an hour headed into southeastern Canada, where I saw a new warning this morning called a wreck house wind. Wreck house wind warning in effect in southeastern Canada. I never want one of those. How scary is that? Wreck house wind. So that clipper goes into southeastern Canada today. You can see all the way to Winthrop this morning. Almost. Focus, there it is. That clipper goes into southeastern Canada, loops around, and it's a whirling dervish for us in New England. A very cold pool of air, almost a little bit of a wayward polar vortex. That's how it's going to look and feel in eastern Maine overnight tonight down into eastern Massachusetts. Things that go bump in the night, but it's going to come and go so fast you're probably not going to notice it too much unless you live right near the shore or on some hilltops in Maine to Cape Cod. That's going to come and go and be gone tomorrow, and it leaves us in some pretty good weather. It's going to start to warm up a little bit tomorrow and Thursday. Just seasonable average temperatures. And then that system that's in the middle of the nation is on our doorstep. It comes in Thursday night, and instead of doing what we thought a few days ago would be a blizzard loop, it looks like it does slow down, but it looks more like a glorified wave on a warm front or a triple point. I'm not going to diminish the storm that much, but it doesn't look as intense in the wind department and heavy snow department as it did earlier. Nevertheless, it is going to snow in some parts of the Northeast here Thursday night, Friday, and then the main body of the precip takes off, but there is an inverted trough lagging behind that's going to keep the snow going in places that get upslope snow in parts of New York, Vermont, and that could add up to 20 to 30 inches of snow before it's done. Not Sunday, until Sunday or Monday, but once you get to southern New England, it's just going to turn colder, and it looks okay for this most of the weekend. And then the next system coming out is going to be fueled by that even colder air that's coming into northwestern United States. Let's go to the upper flow here. It's just extraordinary. This is 200 millibars. That would be in altitude just above the surface of Mount Everest. And the wind jet stream across the nation next week reaches 160 or 70 knots. I don't even know how you can fly a plane from New York City to Los Angeles in that kind of air. This is right up around where the jets fly to the west. And north of that jet stream, there's just an extreme cold outbreak headed for much of North America. You know, by the way, this is happening in Europe and Asia too. It's not just an isolated event. Winter is just coming in harsh for a lot of the world where it's winter, solstice next week. And we know what's going on with the energy infrastructure, so we could be in for some trouble. I'm blowing my fingers on my fingers right now because they're actually cold, and I'm a little bit nervous just thinking about how cold it could be. The high temperature forecast map for next Thursday, 20 to 30 below zero in much of the west, and that air is pressing south. And along that boundary, there are going to be multiple storms. There's going to be another one coming through here. One may be buzzing off us on Monday. Another one comes through Wednesday, and each one of them is going to be a significant winter weather event. So it's starting to look more serious than fun as we head towards Christmas in the weather department. T-Rex wants to go inside, and who can blame him? All right, I leave you with a few of the beautiful sights from around my neighborhood yesterday. Talk again tomorrow. Is that an eagle? The other birds keeping an eye on him, that's for sure. Come back. It's a huge bird. And look at all these other birds kind of stalking it. Those look like gulls above it. What a beautiful morning. This road is still a little icy, huh, T-Rex? I think you got 4-paw drive. Very pretty day. Always enjoy going out in the first snow. Let's see if we can track that turkey or some deer or something. What do you think, T-Rex? We can do it. What do you see? What do you smell? I don't see any tracks yet, but there's got to be some around here somewhere. Even though it's still freezing outside, good amount of sunshine, probably melt some of this 1 inch of snow. Let's call it an inch. Beautiful Monday. Major blizzard in the middle of the nation. What's it going to do when it gets here next week? This week, Tim, this week. There's some old deer tracks there. Come on, Rex. What do you see? What do you see? Anything fun out there? Right in the shadow. That's not how I scripted it. I heard that too. Some geese. Where are they? Beautiful Monday. That's how winter should start. Wow, it's more like 2 inches up here. What do you think, Rex? Get 2 inches? Yeah. You get a little bit away from the water. It's deeper. It's knee high on T-Rex. I think across the street up here it's like 2 inches. Do you have to pee for the camera? Every time I point the camera at him, he lifts his leg.